Hello there. Thanks a lot for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and check out this colorful beaut from the Ike and Tina Turner Revue. Wow, isn't this nice? This is early for them. You know, Ike and Tina Turner started off their career in the early 60s with 5 nice solid top 10 rhythm and blues hits spanning 1960 to 62, and you know, that sort of set the foundation for them going forward through the 60s, because after that their chart performance really dropped off seriously, but their live performance just heated up and they just scorched their way through the 60s, and they were advertised all along the way by really bright, colorful, charismatic, beautiful window cards like this. So it's really fun with the hits all coming from 60 to 62. Not until Proud Mary in the 70s did they match that chart success. But that early chart success is nice to kick right in early 63 and say, well, from this point going forward, they had that foundation of those 5 strong rhythm and blues hits to launch sort of, you know, this stage of their stage career, I guess you could say. And so I'm starting today with early 1963, February of 1963 here. I'll move it in. As you can see, it is from the Eagles Ballroom in Seattle, Washington. And this thing is just in really beautiful condition. This window card is just lovely, lovely shape. Obviously it was not posted under fluorescent lights or near direct sunlight to be able to retain these beautiful colors. I mean, look at this bright day glow pink and hot yellow. It's just, wow, it's a lovely, lovely shape. Now, it's possible that either it was posted indoors or in a shady place or something to sell tickets back in 63, or else it was never used and remained in mint condition, and then throughout the 60s and 70s or whatever, its hobby owner, if you will, or whatever, tacked it up at those points. You know, you can't really tell the age of thumbtack holes and stuff. You can only speculate. So any way you look at it, though, this thing is in great condition, really lovely. So always happy to get something. It's a real bonus when they're in such nice condition. So looking at the body of the poster there, as you can see, that big Ike and Tina Turner Revue in hot pink and white lettering, that just looks so strong. You know, obviously I've, having blogged so many and collected for so long, I've seen a million concert posters. You know, I don't think I've ever seen an instance where so much clever marketing and so much compelling, you know, I guess marketing, you could say, sure, that's a sales or whatever, was squeezed out of what essentially was just one act. You know, and that's a couple, Ike and Tina. And they sort of, with these concert posters, I don't know who came first with it, I guess I could study my images and stuff, but picked up on the concept of taking your band members and sort of blowing them up on your concert posters to make them look like stars in their own rights, and it just sort of expands the whole concept of what your stage show is, when in fact it's Ike and Tina Turner, and essentially is, you know, backup musicians and singers and disciples of them and everything else. There's nothing derogatory about that at all. In fact, it's, you know, it's very clever and truthful, but it's just like, for example, the two on the either side of Ike and Tina Turner there, you've got Bobby John and Jimmy Thomas, see that? And they've got names, and their pictures are even bigger than Ike and Tina, and they've got song titles and stuff, but neither one ever charted anything. Talk about squeezing also, the Ikettes there at the bottom, essentially Ike and Tina's backup singers, needless to say, are double pictured with their name checks. Well, there's probably a reason they got their names on the 63 posters. They probably asked for it, and they had a good reason. And it's a little bit funny and ironic after I just said that about essentially one act. But the Ikettes actually showed up their bosses the previous year in 1962 by having a bigger hit than Ike and Tina did. Isn't that funny? Their record, I'm Blue, came in at number 3 on the R&B charts, and Ike and Tina Turner's biggest hit for 62 only reached number 9. So, as I said, you've got this from the Eagles Ballroom in February of 1963. Let's jump all the way to the very end of the year, to the very end of 1963 in Vancouver, Canada. As I bring this one up, hold them side by side for just a moment. You can see the color differences between the pink, and it sort of gives way, if you will, to this one late in the year, to like a duller red, almost like a rust orange or something. Look at that, that's interesting. Now, it's possible it wasn't this dull when it was printed, that perhaps it faded a little bit, but I don't know, the white board around it and everything looks pretty intact with its strength of its image. So I think, you know, this was just sort of the color they switched to for whatever reason, from hot pink to this. Quite often when poster printers went to print a poster, when poster printers went to print a poster, that's quite a tongue tie, they would sometimes only be able to use the inks they had available. And so, you know, the guy would come in with the order or whatever, and they would say, well, here's what we have. We don't have Day-Glo pink, we have this nice red and so forth. So oftentimes that's how these things came about. So everything is identical down below, as is the case with tour blanks. Everything exactly the same except the color difference. And then up top you have Exhibition Gardens in Vancouver, British Columbia. And the time was moved up a little bit. It was, I think, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. earlier back in February. And up in Canada here it's 8:30 a.m. to 12 midnight. So, as I said, both of these examples, I believe I said, were printed by Tillman Poster Printing Press in Oakland, California. But Ike and Tina had wild tour blanks all through the 60s, and they controlled the artwork, so you do see other people like Globe and Colby and so forth also printing their posters. But these two from '63 were done beautifully by Tillman. So Ike and Tina Turner Revue, just getting launched in early '63 and late '63 on what would be a scorching decade of live concert performances. So their posters are so much fun to collect and look so great on a wall. Hope you enjoyed seeing this one. Nice seeing you. Thanks a lot for coming by, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye-bye.